From the seafloor, deep in the western Pacific, rises the archipelago of Palau. Palau's natural beauty, culture, and location have contributed to its growing tourism industry, most notably in the Rock Islands of Koror State. With a new international airport and increasing inbound flights, Palau is quickly becoming a popular vacation destination. But now, Palau faces the challenge of balancing tourism, development, and economic growth with protecting its natural environment. There is one group that has a direct influence on how visitors perceive, interact, and understand the fragile marine environment. These are the tour guides.
Ali, and welcome to the Tour Guide Certification Training video. Hi, I'm Governor Adatsi. Koror State has been forced to cope with the issues that surround the drastic rise in tourism, specifically marine-based tourism activities. It has become apparent that we need to protect our natural resources on which all of our activities and businesses depend. Thus, the Koror State Tour Guide Certification Program was developed. The primary goal of this certification program is to provide basic information to tour guides about Palau culture and history, coral reef ecology, and the Koror State management of the Rock Island Southern Lagoon area. This three-part series will expand on the tour guide certification training manual through the use of visual aids and interviews. Remember, this is just an introduction to the basics of being a guide in Koror State. There is a wealth of resources, knowledge, and diverse skills that comes with being a tour guide in Palau. Therefore, please immerse yourself in this training video, the study guides, and the training manual that make up the tour guide certification program. Take notes and ask questions so you can be a part of Koror State's commitment to marine resource protection and to the success of the marine tourism industry, beginning with the tour guide certification program.
To be a guide in Koror State or anywhere in Palau requires much more than mask and fins. It requires knowledge.
It is vital that you give visitors the correct information on the history and the environment of Palau.
To help your guests appreciate and understand the complex and fragile environment of Palau, you must take on the role of naturalist educator.
Conservation of Palau has been ongoing for thousands of years.
But when was Palau first discovered?
Over 3,000 years ago, explorers migrated across the Pacific in wooden dugout canoes from East Asia, the Philippines, and Papua New Guinea. It was then the first humans set foot on the bountiful islands of Palau. Palauans established a society based on sharing and respect for the community, leaders, and the environment. Respect is the center of Palauan culture.
Respect other people working alongside you, the guests.
And most of all, respect our unique natural environment.
Palauan history and legends are depicted on the beams of the traditional Palauan meeting house, the Bai. When visiting the Bai or other culturally significant sites, remember, respect Palau's ancient culture and be considerate of sites you visit. The history of Palau was passed down from one generation to the next through oral tradition in these meeting places. Pieces of the painted Bai were given as gifts to travelers for hundreds of years. Then, in the 1930s, Bai paintings were adapted into carved storyboards with the help of Dr. Hisataku Hijikata, a Japanese anthropologist and artist. Today, they are now a popular gift item. In addition to the Bai paintings, hundreds of pictographs or rock paintings can be found on cave walls and along the pathways of the rock islands.
Koror State strongly discourages visiting these ancient pictographs for safety and conservation reasons. People are tempted to touch the paintings, and the oil from their hands can discolor and even destroy these works. Do not remove any pottery or other artifacts that you may find. Each and every artifact is a piece of Palauan history.
The ancient Palauan way of life changed beginning on August 9, 1783, when Captain Henry Wilson's ship, the Antelope, wrecked off of Ulang Island. The High Chief of Koror and its people aided Captain Wilson in the rebuilding of his damaged vessel. In exchange, Captain Wilson provided the High Chief with modern firearms that were ultimately used in a war between the clans of Koror and Malreo and other states in Palau. With this new armament, the balance of power in Palau was transferred to Koror. In 1885, the Spanish claimed Micronesia and began to administrate Palau. Spanish missionaries bestowed a strong Catholic religion on Micronesians and tried to abolish several traditional practices. In 1898, Germany purchased the rights to Palau from Spain. Under German rule, large-scale phosphate mining and copra production began. These industries required the building of infrastructure to handle the processing of the resources. In 1914, after the defeat of Germany in World War I, Japan acquired control of Palau and its resources. The Japanese built roads, schools, urban centers, provided medical care, and developed a contemporary government. Under Japan's rule, phosphate and bauxite were mined, coconut plantations expanded, and a fisheries industry developed.
In the late 1930s, Palau's population grew with the arrival of 60,000 Japanese soldiers who came to build military infrastructures. Palau was the communications headquarters for the Japanese naval empire in the Pacific. Many Japanese refer to Koror as Daini Tokyo or Little Tokyo.
September 15th, 1944. United States Marines hit the beaches of Palau.
The Second World War arrived in Palau on September 15, 1944, with the American attack of the Palauan islands of Peleliu and Angar. This was one of the worst battles of World War II and certainly of the Pacific. Peleliu bore the brunt of the battle with utter devastation. Marking the ending of World War II, a year later on September 5, 1945, the Japanese commander surrendered Palau to the United States. In 1947, the United States became the administrator of the United Nations Trust Territories in the Pacific, including Palau. While under the U.S. administration, Palau adopted a Western-style democracy and a constitutional government with the traditional leaders playing a strong role in advising and counseling. On October 1, 1994, the Republic of Palau gained its independence. by signing the Compact of Free Association allowing Palau to be freely associated with the United States. It is now the 185th member of the United Nations. Today, Palau's economy consists primarily of tourism, fisheries, and agriculture. The government is the major employer of the workforce, with consistent long-term financial aid from the USA and Japan. More recently, other Asian, Pacific, and European nations have aided Palau financially.
In 1989, Palau's reefs and waters were internationally declared one of the 7 wonders of the underwater world, and is now so recognized by conservation, education, diving, and marine researchers. Tour guides are fundamental players in the sustainability of the marine tourism industry. They are, more than anyone else, the first line of defense at activity sites. It is your responsibility to help protect Palau while you guide. Ensure that this unique environment remains the treasure that marks the rainbow's end.